This is my GitHub page, and I already pushed our project to this GitHub, and I will put the link to my repository in the description of this video. Here is our project, and in the README file I have the link to our tutorial, and you'll see all the episodes of this tutorial. So let's begin. The first thing we need to do is to clone our repository. From here, I copy this link, open my window, using gitbar, and we type git clone, and after that is the link our repository. So wait a minute for it clone. So here we are. Come back to our IDE. I'm using Webstone, so I have to open my project. From here, this is tutorial. From here, I'll say from here, and this window. So here we are. This is our project, and we clone it from GitHub. The first thing we need to do is install package needed. So npm is the Node Package Manager. We need to install all the packages. So we will install all packages in package.json. So you can see we install, and we have a folder named Node Models. So here we are, and in package.json I already installed node-mon. It's a quick way to run our server, and the node-mon it have EQ, bubble, node. Actually, I'm using the bubble package, so it will cover all syntax from ES6 and ES7 together, and it doesn't cause error when we run the server. So, and after we convert all the syntax, we will run the file name with the name server.js in the folder add or c. So here, this is the file we will run with the command npm start. So let we see what happened out here. So we get an undefined over here, so we have to check what happened. Open the server.js. So it can get the port over here. So the reason is don't get the port over here because we don't have an env file. So what we need to do, environment file over here, we need to paste it here, and we change the name .env. So we open the env or already config all of variable for our application. You can see config for app variables, Elasticsearch, and config for sending an email, config for our Facebook, and config for Bing, and with AI. With AI is using for chatbot, messenger bot. So come back here, we need to, this is our project. So here we are, we need to run again because we change the env. We need to come back here and start again. So here we are. Or if you don't like the port 8 or 8080, you can change from here. You change the port 8080 from here. So for me, I will run our app again, localhost port 8080. So I hit enter. Oops, what's going here? Your application, so it can got a slash. It means the home page. So we come back here. Here I will explain our structure of the file server. The first thing we define app express, and express using cookie parser and body parser for sending data from backend to frontend. We already configured the engine, and in this project I'm using AJAX view engine, and right here we init our web browse for our application, and it don't get the slash, or because we don't define the browse and don't tell the app what's going on or what to do if we hit the browse. So over here we need to change some line of code. So over here we can write like this. We define two variables request and response, and over here we write an error function and we return and response dot send. So we send hello world homepage. So yes, here we are, and because we're using Node more, so what we need to do, we click over here and our server will restart again. Come back to our web localhost and we reload our page, and you see hello world homepage, and it works. So the next thing we need to do is, because we need to separate the route and the controller and how to handle the data, and the best way is separate the handle logic from application to separate with the view. So what we need to do is we create a folder with the name controller, and to handle data we need a folder services, and we also need a folder for public file, and we need a folder for view engine. So what we need to do is over here, instead of return, we will write a controller for it. Controller. So for example, I take the name home controller.js, or because of file .js from here. So what's going on out here, I need to create a function handle web hello world. For example, I'm using the syntax of ES7, ES6, so this is the error function. It's a quick way to define a function. In this, we will return response dot send hello world from controller. So let me see, but we can't access the function from the web.js, so we need to module.export. What we export is an object, and in this object we can export as many functions as we want. So this function I export. So to use the function in the web route, we need to import home controller from. You need to a dot and controller and home controller from here, and from there, or from here, instead of writing this code, we need a little chain home controller, and this is our function, and we hit enter, and here we are. So let's check our app. So if I reload the page, it will say hello from controller. Yep, it is hello from controller. The next thing I want to share with you is the APIs. How we rewrite an APIs in our apps. And in APIs are already based around. We need, for example, I will write a test API. Yes, we also using the home controller to handle data for the API. So I import home controller from dot slash controller home controller from here, and in this I will define a function dot handle web test API, because we don't have the function, so we storm they will tell it is undefined function. So we need to define the function in the home controller. So we can click here. We need to define this function. We also pass to parameter to the function request and response. Over here, we will also return for API. We don't send. We are respond.json hello world for API test, and we need over here, and we need to export the function. So in the API.js, we can access the function. So we are in the API. We have the test /fetch for our route, and let's run our apps again, and let's check if I type test. Oops, we cannot get the test route. So let's check again, because for API I'm using the prefix /API/version1/. So we need this prefix or API/version1, and then I hit enter. So here if a response, I return from a JSON for API. So maybe you want to change the API a little bit. I will change the JSON to this format. JSON return an object. The message we return is success, and the data we want to send is hello world. So let's check again. If I reload, so as you can see, this is how we handle an API in our project. And the last thing I want to tell you is the structure. I will explain the structure in our project. Every time we run our application, the first file it will run is the file server.js. So actually what happened in this file is the first thing we create an instance of Express framework, and we config all the necessary things for our apps. And for example, we config how to handle data from backend to frontend. We config the engine. What happened in the engine, we also import the Express, and for the engine, I config a certified in public. So what is certified in public? In public, we will accept, for example, we will accept images from public, and we will public, for example, JS file. And the last thing we will accept from public is CSS file, and we call the public file, and we will have a public static link to our file. After that, I configure view engine in AJAX, and the last thing is where I put the AJAX in view folder, and it is how we configure view engine for our application. The last thing I need to config is the route, how to handle a route when a user type a link. I config to route. It is for web route, and for API we separate, and it is look nicer for us.